Okay, I don't know if my webcam is particularly good at picking up on whistling, but if you could hear that, prepare to hear that either on the radio or somewhere involved in getting a Best Song nomination, because if they don't try to do that, then I don't follow Adam Levine, which I really don't. But I'm Casey Basis. 9 months ago, I had a chance to see a screening of a film called Can a Song Save Your Life? Evidently, the marketing department at the Weinstein Company, which bought this film, thought the answer was no because they decided to change the title. They did, however, think it would be a very marketable movie, and that it is going to be released this July under the title Begin Again. It stars Mark Ruffalo as the moderately adequate record executive, Sulk, and that is not actually his name. Keira Knightley as an up-and-coming singer who doesn't know that's what she wants, and Adam Levine as Keira Knightley's ex-boyfriend who sold out completely as a musician. This is clearly a stretch for Adam Levine and his acting chops. It was made by the same director who was responsible for the movie version of Once, which has since gone on to win quite a few Tonys on Broadway and get enough acclaim that it's really no surprise that the film itself got a lot of attention when it screened at the film festival. That the night that I saw it was following an all-night bidding war between numerous companies that were trying to gain the rights to put this film out to the public, which is what the Weinstein Company succeeded in doing. And I have been waiting these 9 months for the song I just whistled to be released on iTunes. That is the most memorable part of this movie, and if that doesn't get nominated for Best Song, then Weinstein Company isn't pushing something, which is very against what their normal pattern is, because they're very good at getting Oscar nominations, but that's beside the point. Was the movie any good? This is probably going to be a shorter video than I'll do otherwise, on the grounds that I don't believe I'm ever again going to do a video on something that I've seen as long as it would take for me to have a baby. But at the time I really liked it. I think that there's a very specific audience that this movie is going to appeal to. I've heard other people online say that it looks like a movie that your mother will probably like, and if your mother likes musicals, that's not that likely to be wrong. If you would like it, or not, depends on your sensibilities. First off, if you like Once, you will like this movie. It is pretty similar tonally, though it has a happier spin on it. The main characters are not particularly memorable, but they're acted well enough that they do take on a personality. Mark Ruffalo is that the way that the film has been marketed, from what I remember in the one trailer that I've seen, didn't fully represent the cut of the movie that I saw. Well, I must say that it is entirely possible that the movie itself is going to be re-edited so that it has a little bit less of the relaxed feel. It had a very naturalistic sense of humor to it, so it's kind of slow-paced and a character study. There's equal elements of drama and comedy, so it's very much in the realm of dramatic dramedy movie that has those quick one-liners that make you laugh, but outside of that, it's pretty much a drama. So if you're looking for something that's actually meant to be a comedy rather than something that's drama with just some wit thrown in there for good measure, then you'd be looking at the wrong movie. This isn't something like Neighbors for the comedy. It's going to be just a little bit of wit thrown in here or there, a couple of scenes that are meant to be cute, and the rest of it is handling the story of one man and one woman who are both at kind of difficult places in their lives where they're really doubting themselves and their abilities, learning to work together, or at least being inspired by each other to finally better their lives. I think that, so again, if you have seen Once and you liked it, this movie will be right up your alley. If you have seen Silver Linings Playbook, I feel like it's fairly similar to that, though without the emphasis on mental illness. In that place, we have a main character who likes to drink. I didn't have any complaints with the performances in the movie. Haley Steinfeld was quite enjoyable. Mark Ruffalo is Mark Ruffalo. Oh, and yes, the opening scene, you see Mark Ruffalo in his underwear, so I sold my mother on going to see the movie when I came out just by telling her that. He didn't look especially attractive in his underwear to me, but that's not my taste, so take that piece of information with you as you will. There is also one plot point in the movie where they release the soundtrack online for $1, and if they don't do that as a marketing ploy, then I feel like they're missing an opportunity here, because you could get a lot that the heart of this movie, which was called Can a Song Save Your Life, is the soundtrack. I know that this makes no sense and is going to completely blow your mind, but the core of it is really just the music and the composition, and the performances accentuate it, but I'm not sure that in any cases they actually elevate the material. It's more as if the material elevates them, if that makes any sense. Not that any of them are bad actors. That this is the first time I've even remotely liked Adam Levine in quite a long time. I've used to be a fan of Maroon 5, and I lost my faith in them around the same time as most of the non-Billboard following public did, but there's actually an element of humor to seeing him play the complete sellout character, because it almost adds an extra level of believability, though if you're not into that kind of on-the-nose casting, then that might bother you a little bit. But I quite appreciated seeing that, and thought that it gave the character a level of self-awareness, and Levine himself a level of self-awareness that I, not following tabloids, haven't really noticed. So that was quite refreshing. Keira Knightley, I'm rarely a fan of, but she never bothered me in the movie. That she was nice, that her character was a little bit more generic than what I remember Ruffalo's being, but this is, again, lost in translation after 9 months, so there are probably some elements to her other than her trying to come off of a breakup and regain faith in music that she wasn't interested in pursuing. Again, for anyone who's seen once, this plot beat might actually sound a little familiar to you, which is why I say that they would like the movie, but now that I'm talking about it a little bit more and comparing and contrasting, both movies do hinge on the presence of, there's one character who plays music, and they meet in a bar. I'm comparing to this as a stage show. And another person hears them and is instantly inspired. That is the plot of this movie and the plot of Once, except they're reversed. In this case, Mark Ruffalo's character is down on his luck and he hears Keira Knightley, so he hears the woman play and immediately gets faith in her. And instead of being someone trying to inspire that Keira Knightley's character to go to a record producer, he is a record executive. So I guess if that bothers you, that there's that similarity, it is very close. But it never bothered me watching it. That I felt like the characters did have enough separation and the music had enough of a different tone. It wasn't quite, rather than it being folk music with that kind of the influence of the Irish type of, I'm forgetting exactly what that should be called, which is embarrassing. But the folksy music that you heard in Once is a little bit more indie rock inspired, with emphasis on the indie in this movie. So there's a little bit less of the cultural influence, so it is a little bit like there was some Hollywood touching on it even before, but that is likely just a cultural aspect and has to do with the setting of the movie, being that it's closer to where the heart of the mainstream music industry is close to mainstream as this kind of music can get when it's specifically designed to not be. But so yeah, anyone who is looking for something that's irreverent, silly, lighthearted, not quite where this is going, but without spoiling how it ends, it is not super depressing. So that is the one divergence from Once. Again with the numbers. I've been trying not to make numbers jokes. It's just so hard not to make numbers jokes with Once. I've seen Once twice. Once with Arthur. I saw Once the first time with Arthur Darvill, and I cannot not think that was absolutely amazing. But, yeah, he's not in this movie. That would have made this much better. Yeah, Doctor Who fangirl. That is about the conclusion of my thoughts at the film festival, I believe out of the movies I saw 7. This was probably my 3rd favorite, so it's not jumping up and down, this was the best thing I've ever seen, but it was more than perfectly serviceable. So if you're someone who's really itching for a good music movie and you don't want to pull out your copy of Once or go down to New York and watch the show again, then, or if you want to see Mark Ruffalo in his underwear, or Keira Knightley with a guitar, or Adam Levine actually acknowledge that he's a sellout in the most indirect way possible. No offense to him, but actually, yeah, that's kind of offensive. He picked the role. Yeah, that is the conclusions of what I remember about this movie. I probably would give it about a B or a B+, not a universal recommendation, but someone who tends to like the kinds of movies that the Weinsteins pick up. This is very much in that tone, or anyone who likes that kind of the kind of indie folksy style music. That I recommend the soundtrack more than I recommend the movie, but the movie was still very good. And like Once, I suspect that if I were to watch it, it's funnier than I remember it being because of the style of humor being very offhand. That it probably, if I see it again, and I very well might because there's not that much coming out in the mainstream theaters that I'm interested in this year, I'll be curious to see how it is that they've re-edited this movie. But at the film festival, if you like musicals, I would consider it a go. Alright, have a nice day.